We are having and living in what I call to be defining moments. Stand with me as we explore this subject, defining moments. Deuteronomy chapter 8. We'll begin our reading at verse 1, and we're going down through verse 5. All the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do, that ye may live and multiply and go in and possess the land which the Lord sware to your fathers. Thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or not. And he humbled thee, and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man does not live by bread only, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. Out of the mouth of the Lord doeth man live. Thy raiment waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years. Thou shalt also consider in thine heart that as a man chastens his son, so the Lord thy God chastens thee. Father, I pray for the next few moments that you would allow us to explore and grasp from a depth that we can never go unless your Spirit take us, what it means to be in these defining moments, and that we would be careful that we might, from these very definitive moments that we're brought to, demonstrate and show forth the character of Christ. I pray, Lord, that you would give us ears to hear, a heart to receive, and a mind to react. In Jesus' name. Somebody say amen. Amen. Jesus quoted more from Deuteronomy than any other book of the Old Testament. If I had to choose which is my best, Deuteronomy would stand in the top 5 at least of books of the Old Testament that I really love. It is the book of law where God reestablishes his law with his people. As Jesus quoted from it so many times, he referred to it over and over again, and in that very definitive moment, a very defining moment in his life, when he had a physical encounter with the devil himself, he quoted from this passage in Deuteronomy chapter 8. And he kept ending with, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word. So this book definitely is a defining book in itself. It defined to the people who they were and whose they were and how they were to live in life, who they were. These theological terms, indicative and imperative, come in our mind now because we understand an indicator is an indicative. It shows us who we are. The imperative is what we must do in life, who we are. Because we are God's children. There's a certain kind of living he wants. A defining moment is a moment when you are revealed for the person you are, and yet those moments challenge you to be who you are to be. I want to say it again. A defining moment is a moment when you are revealed for the person you are, and yet these moments challenge who you are to be. I can give you a couple examples of defining moments, and we can go around and even give our own examples of defining moments. As I was going through life, just minding my own business, and out of blue, we were challenged in our early years of marriage by a family member who sent us a letter through their lawyer. And it was a very defining moment for me. It was a really challenging moment because I was not expecting this. It came totally out of the blue. And yet it challenged the old me in me to want to rise. And yet there was a new me in me that needed to be on the surface. Amen? And it was very defining. It was very defining for me. It could have went either way. And I'm so thankful that I chose not to try to get mad or angry or get even. I just moved on. Amen? But it was only to find out that the master weaver had a plan, and he was making something that I did not know. A defining moment in your life can be a moment when life can really come crashing down pretty hard. A defining moment was the moment when my mother took her last breath. It was a very definitive moment for me because I was the one who walked in the house and found her. I got down on my knees immediately when my wife was down on 911. I'm praying like I know how to do. calling out to God, begging God for mercy. Don't tell me that's not a defining moment in your life. It was coming to the conclusion that this is it, Mom is gone. It was a very defining moment, and I had to understand and not get mad at God. God told me, I'm taking a flight. Leave me alone. That's literally the way God interpreted that to me. It's time for me to pick this flower. It's come to its full bloom. No need to stay here and suffer no more. I'm relieving her from this life to move on to another life. That was defining to me because I was used to being able to call Mom, talk to Mom, refer to Mom, sit and have meals with Mom, and enjoy Mom. It's very defining when you don't have your parents no more. Very defining when you look for your kids to bury you and you got to bury your kids. I haven't had that, but maybe some of you have experienced that, or at least know someone that has experienced. That's very defining moment to find everything you worked hard for and lost and gone. It's defining. It can define you for either or. It can be very challenging in life. Nobody got married thinking one day I'm going to get a divorce. No, it's a very defining moment, isn't it? You never enter into a relationship looking to get broken hearted and hurt and abused and all these things. And it can be very defining when you find out things are not what you thought they were to be. Now you have to manifest some kind of reaction based on what's been defined to you. A defining moment in life can be a very interesting moment. When the boss call you in and say, we no longer need you. You've been good, but bye. It's very definitive, very definitive. And who you trust can really show up at these defining moments. Yeah. These defining moments can really tell just how solid you are. I know we love to sing that song, it grips the solid rock, but a defining moment better proves how much grip you got on the rock. Amen? Yeah, that's a good place to think about it right there. A defining moment. Israel as a nation was on an amazing journey. I love that. They were on this amazing journey, my brothers and sisters, and God was moving them every step of the way. What they were exposed to is to reveal who they really are and how they are to get where they're going. This is definitely something we can learn from. 3 defining moments in their history as a people I want to show you. And I took the time to put this up so you don't have to just listen to me. But 3 of them. Number 1, the Exodus, where salvation was granted. They were saved from Egypt and all that Egypt entailed. That was a defining moment in their history. At Mount Sinai, God identified them as his people. He gave them their identity, whose they are. At Mount Sinai, when God showed up and identified himself to them and let them to know without a doubt that they are his people, was a very defining moment for them. And you notice in the sincerity of the moment, they were so caught up and enamored with what they saw that they declared unto Moses, we don't ever want to get this close to God again. You go and come back and tell what, ain't that what they said? Yes. You go and then come back and tell us what he said. We'll just do what he said. Now tell me they didn't get a revelation, a very defining moment as to who God is. They got that close and decided, nah, Moses, you go on up there. Go on up there, man of God, and come back and tell us what he said. And we'll do what he said. And then another very defining moment in their life was a 40-year journey through the wilderness. 40 years. A bonus question. How many of y'all know how long it would have took them to get into the promised land if they had went the short route? 4 days. Anybody else? 6. I was told 6 weeks. That's the calculation I came up. 6 weeks. Not to, but I want you to see their journey. If they had not went 40 years, they could not have 40 years worth of testimony. And while, yeah, we look at 40 years and look, boy, they could have went 6 days, 4 days, 6 weeks, whatever the shorter distance was, God opted to give them the long term. Now, if we look at our text said God brought him through. In Deuteronomy chapter 8, y'all read that before. God brought them through the wilderness. God took them 40 years. And he told them, I want you to remember all of it. We'll come back to that in a minute. But number one, that Exodus was a defining moment. Sinai was a very defining moment in the journey where God preserved them. How'd you like to go on a 40-year journey with one pair of shoes and they never gave out? A garment on that never got old. Food, water. 3 defining moments in their history that they were called upon to remember. 3 more defining moments was to remind them of where they've been. Number 1, it was a Passover. Passover was given to refresh their memory of his saving grace. They were to keep Passover and remind themselves that the reason why we got over here is because of the blood. The reason why we're here today is because the great transition of life had taken place and because we were covered by the blood. Ain't you glad you were covered by the blood at that point? Yeah, man. Don't tell me you don't remember that point and just go, oh yeah, that was it. No, you celebrate. Because you know if God had not passed you by, you too would have died. That defining moment for them every time they killed a lamb and began to have that meal was to remember you were passed over and it wasn't no goodness of your own. It was the goodness of the Lord. So they were told to celebrate Passover. Another defining moment for them that was very definitive was the Feast of Pentecost. It was then that their identity and their commitment to that identity would be reevaluated and reflected upon it. And they would remember that they are the children of God. This is a very definitive moment for their life. And I believe at times as we have what we call revivals or just seasons of renewal where we begin to get commitment and understand that we are committed people to the Lord and we ought to refresh our minds to that commitment. And every now and then it is good to be reminded. And this is why on the first Sunday when we come together and celebrate the Lord's table, it's a reminder to us of our great commitment of who has saved us and the life that we ought to live in light of that. So they had the Feast of Pentecost. One refreshed, one renew, and now they were to respond. How do you respond? Get out of this nice community you're in and go live in a booth. The Feast of Tabernacles. Go disconnect from your comfort zone and go back out here in the raw, in the wilderness and spend a day or two. And remind yourself that you once were astray in the wilderness on your way somewhere. Remind yourself if some of us had to give up our air conditioner and have a night of no air conditioning, we would totally get mad. If we had to go back to living in one of the little places we used to live in that we don't even want to remember we ever lived in, just to remember that we need to be grateful for where we are. And I think sometimes it would be good if we could take a trip down memory lane and help remind these young people who don't realize how good they got it. 15, 20 pair of shoes. I remember it was a blessing to have one pair. I can remember a pair of jeans was a privilege in our house. I can remember I didn't know nothing about no Jordache and all. We had to get whatever we could get. Somebody say amen. And every now and then we had to remember that we were reminded to be grateful. Yes. Amen. My kids laugh at me. I tell them one day my dad got mad at us. He's in Goodwill trying to fit us for school. School now. How'd you like that? We load you up, take you to Goodwill when school about to start. You probably say something we didn't know you know how to say. After so many minutes in there, Sister Gwen, my daddy told us we were ungrateful. This is in the 80s on Broad Street in Goodwill. School get ready to start in a week. And he's going to suit us up out of Goodwill. You should see the stuff he brought we had to wear. We couldn't tell him no. You should see the stuff we went through in. And you better be grateful. How many of y'all was raised like me? You better appreciate something. You better be glad you got shoes on. Now, I didn't realize there were people in Ethiopia and Libya and all these other countries that never had a pair of shoes. And I'm sitting here in Goodwill mad because they buying these shoes. I didn't know that there was somebody somewhere they could in a day. I didn't know that.
Yes.
And I think we have a generation of ungreats that need to realize God is good. They want to remember that they were a blessed community. God had brought them into a land flowing, y'all. Thank you. The most critical part of this defining moment throughout their life was, say it with me, leadership. Leadership was a very important factor if you're going to be defined. Moses, who questioned whether or not he was capable of doing this, you know his story. Moses, who took the task only to stand before Pharaoh and declare God's word and go back to a people who didn't quite get it. When they finally did, still showed and demonstrated some very defining character as they showed up on the other side, and at times life dumped down on them what challenged them to show whether or not they can trust God. Moses got at odds with these people, and finally, as a leader, he lost it. And instead of doing what God said, he struck the rock and he called the people rebels. You know the story better than I do. Got out of course with God, and the very promise that he was looking to go in, canceled him out. God said, you won't take him in. Now here's a man who started out on a journey looking to get somewhere, can't get nowhere because of people. The most critical and most defining factor in our day today that is defining us as a people, as a nation, and as a church is the leadership in all those areas. And right now, it's in trouble. From the church to the Congress to the family. 3 major factors. I'll give you everything in a series of 3 today. Untamed passions in gifted men. Untamed passions in gifted men. I'm sorry, you can pull that back, honey. They were a redeemed community, a commanded community, because they were commanded by God. And also they were, by establishment, a blessed community. This is all what they were, and their very life defined them as that. They had been redeemed because they were on the other side of Egypt. They had been commanded, God had gave them a law. They had been blessed because they were living in a land flowing with milk and honey. Ain't that great? Yes. And what's true of them is true of us. You're redeemed, commanded, and blessed. Yes. Say it with me. Redeemed, commanded, and blessed. How many of y'all saved and you know you've been saved? Yes. How many of y'all have given your life to the Lord no matter what? You're saved, you love God, you're walking with Him. How many of y'all know inside the light of being saved, you have been commanded? I know God has told me to live a separate and clean and holy life. He's told me to come out from among them and be separate. I've been commanded. I've not been asked. I've not been led. God has said, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Well, guess what? God, I'm not going to put nobody before you. That's your command. I have been commanded to preach this gospel. I've not been said, do it when you feel like. That's why I'm standing here today. I've not been commanded to go off of my emotions or off of who here and who not here. I've been commanded to obey God no matter who. Somebody say amen. Amen. It's amazing that lot. He given a command. You got to run and don't look back. And you bringing your wife and children with you. All of a sudden you can look by your side and see the closest person to you thought were with you is looking back. And you got to make a quick decision. You ain't got time to pray. You ain't got time to fast. You got to decide, I've made this journey with Jesus and I've decided I'm not going to look back. I'm going to go on with God. And even though the person closest to me is about to turn and burn and turn into a pillar of salt, I got to keep moving. Amen. 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 I'm redeemed, commanded. Don't you tell me I ain't blessed. You can't tell me I'm not blessed. You can't tell me I'm not blessed. I know I'm blessed. I know He's blessed me. Yes. And He's blessing me. Yes. And He's going to bless you. Yes. I'm blessed. You're blessed. Look where we live. Look what we drive. Look what we wear. Look what we have. Some people would love to have church like we have. While y'all sitting here down in the music and the singing, there's some people would love to even be in a place where there's a padded chair and air conditioner. They're sitting in the outside under a hot tree. Here we are sitting here serving God. In the beauty of holiness in this building that God gave us, by the way. In this place that God gave us everything we need, by the way. In this place that God has opened doors no man can shut. In this place, here we are with the ability to worship God. We can make all the noise we want. Nobody going to call nobody and say turn it down. Nobody going to say you can't do that in here. When you think every now and then of what he's done and how he brought you out, you can show it and show up and give God praise because he's worthy of it. Because you are blessed like that. Somebody say I'm blessed like that. The most critical part in this definitive action here, though, say it with me, defining moments, was leadership. Three things that manifest in leaders. Number one, untamed passions in a gifted man. For a leader is gifted, but he has passions that have to be under control. Moses' passion got him in trouble. He could not control himself through his emotions for the people. Number two, wanting power in a privileged man. Leaders today are so power hungry, they'll do anything to be in power. I've seen such undermining stuff take place, even in churches, where somebody else wants to take over. Because, everybody feel they can do better than the pastor. They want to take over. And they do things, even create a coup to have them thrown out so that they can take over. Wicked, crazy stuff. My wife just called me this morning about somebody having to take the church to court. Husband died and now they got some kind of turmoil going on and she had to get her lawyer. Power. Unteachable temperament. While yet possessing a promise. Solomon had it all, y'all. He had all three of them. He had passion, he had power, and he had a temperament that could show and prove who baby it is, but yet he was untamed in his passion to the fact that strange women, the Bible said, got him to build temples for their God. Strange women. He loved them. The Bible said he clung to them in love. Folks, that's deep. He clung to them, and they were able to steal his heart. Rehoboam had amassed great power. Rehoboam had come to such a preeminence of power and yet did not know how to handle power. Have you ever seen anybody in a position they did not know how to handle? Many of us see it on our jobs. We see up and coming people on the side of us get elevated, and next thing you know, their head go with it. Jeroboam was given an extraordinary promise, but because he was unteachable, he lost out. And these three factors are plaguing us today in the church, in our society, and in our government. Untamed passions, wanting power, unteachable temperament. Now, I believe Donald Trump is a man that can handle power. He's getting his passions untamed, sort of under control. He's not willing to be taught. I believe if he could be taught to fear God and reverence God, he could be much better of a man than what he is. All of us can be much better as we're more surrendered to God. Really, that's it. And even though there's some good we can say about it, one of those traits up there fit him just well. He loves power. You know that. He's willing to take the highest seat without a paycheck. Because it ain't about money no more. It's about power and his ego. Do you not know what it would do for him if he could say, I took a whole nation out of a deficit and turned it around? Yeah. That's more rewarding to him than a paycheck. You don't need money, you already got it. So you got to think there's some motives and genuine desire in this man to be willing to do this. Who else would want to take on a job like that with all of the rhetoric it would bring? And just as a side note, somebody told me that Harry Truman Harry Truman said, if you want a friend in Washington, bring you a dog. That's the only friend you'll have. Because in Washington, they all out to get you. And you've seen that here lately, haven't you? Oh man, now they got to make sure your phone is put up because everybody's secretly recording stuff. Everybody want to write a book. Everybody coming out of the woodwork. It's a trip. I didn't mean to get political here, but Solomon, Rehoboam, and Jeroboam all fell in one of the three. To go to the place that God has for us require that we do keep His commandments. Now look at this in Deuteronomy 8:1. I'm coming to my text. He said, all the commandments which I command thee this day you observe to do, that ye may live, multiply, go into the land, and possess the land, which the Lord sware to your fathers. Notice He gives them to observe the law. Observe what He has said. Nothing proves whether or not you are observant to the law than a good test, right? Nothing better proves that you're going to obey it than a test. And it's a test that opens up the reality of who you really are and what you're really doing. A test that defines you for being who you really are, not what you look like. Because you know and I know we can make things look one way, and they might not necessarily have to be that way. We live in a master of disguise world. I mean, you can watch a movie and they can take a man and make him look like an old grandpa and he's 15-year-old. Yeah. By the time they get through makeup and wig and all that stuff, man, he looked like an old man. A story recently showed up of an old man who went out on the basketball court. It was on Facebook and all this. He looked like an old man. He was over there all slouched over. And the young kids wanted to play ball with him because they thought, oh, we can just beat this old man. And boy, he waited till they started playing. Then he turned up the juice. Boy, when he turned up the juice, everybody was like, whoa, this old man, whoa. Come to find out he had makeup on and a wig and all this stuff. He was a young man with all kind of ability and agile. But he looked like an old man and he tricked them. He tricked them. Because looks are deceiving, isn't it? So the next time you walk up on an old man, be careful. This might be a young man ready to tell you. He said, you remember this. Remember this. In Deuteronomy 8:2, he said, you remember all the way. Now look at the emphasis on all. Thou shalt remember all the way. I don't want you to forget one detail about this journey. I don't want nothing about this journey to slip you. Every part of it was a defining moment for you. From the moment I first showed up and told Moses to go and claim you and tell you I'm bringing you out all the way into where you are now. Yes. I want you to know I led you. Now if I'm leading you, I'm leading you for a reason. To humble you, to prove thee, to know what was in thy heart. Wow. Every aspect was defining. And God, only God knows the in and outs, don't He? Yes, sir. Every aspect of it is good. Only God knows the in and out of it all. But we know that all things do work together. Yes, sir. Everything that went into making me who I am today has all worked to get me to where I'm at. Yes, now there's some things where I went through, folks, I wasn't grateful for. But I'm glad for them now. There's some things I suffered that I wasn't grateful for. But I'm glad for them now. While they were going on, it wasn't nothing in me that enjoyed it. It wasn't pleasant. There's people that turned on me, lied on me. There's people that stomped on me. Some of them are still in. And I've learned to be thankful for the enemy. I've learned to be thankful for those that will despitefully use you. And I've learned in all things give thanks. Because God is at work. Yes, sir. Every aspect of this journey. Yes, sir. Oh, man, this is good. Every aspect of this journey is good because they all work together. And while we love shortcuts, yes, and I drive for a living, I know a shortcut to every area in this county. I know a back road, man. I can get you somewhere. I amaze my wife enough, man. When I take them on rides sometime, I know how to get somewhere, man. We love shortcuts. But there's certain things in life, a shortcut is not good. They could have went that short journey, but they would have never had a 40-year testimony. A 40-year testimony of God preserving power. A 40-year testimony of God's goodness and grace. And even though a shortcut looks good,
yes, sir,
it ain't always good. I've seen people with their shortcut remedies in life only to find the frustration. Some people want to shortcut to riches. This is why lottery is so popular. You notice these internet gambling sites are popping up all over the place. People are going in there losing their paycheck. Some of them are going in there doubling their paycheck. They love it. Shortcut, I need a boost. I hear it all the time. Because people want shortcuts. They don't want to work hard no more. Man don't want callousness. Women don't want to work. Men don't want to work. We want shortcut. And they're laying up, give me. Shortcuts sound good, don't it? Even though the shortest route is short, it's not always the best route. I'm so thankful, even though there were times I knew I wanted somebody to bail me out. And they didn't. It wasn't because they couldn't be. I sat next to a preacher that bragged to me how the money he had and what he did for other preachers and what he did for other folks. One man in particular I know, he brought me building to Jackson. $500,000. Just paid him. God touched his heart, told him to do something for somebody to do it. He told me God laid on his heart to retire a man so that he could work in ministry. And cut him a check every month so he don't have to think about working or buying groceries. That's what he did. And I'm sitting there before him, not wanting welfare, but thinking, God, you're going to touch your head. No. Come right back here. And we do what we do. And you know what? I'm better off. I'm thankful that God has me where he has me. Is it challenging at times? Almost never. Is it times you don't know where your foot going to land? Yes, and that's what faith is all about. Taking a step into the unknown. Yeah. And I've learned up until this point now, because see, can't nobody come and take the credit for this. We have to give God the glory. Can't no preacher say, I made him. Can't no organization say, I bailed him out. No. We have to give God the glory, y'all. When we think about it, we have to give God praise. Well, that's another part of this. Every aspect was defining. The language here is not so that they can prove anything to God. You see the word says, to humble thee, to prove thee. Well, it's not for them to prove to God, but to show them their self. It's to prove to them who they are. It's almost like spiritually putting their face in the mirror. You ever look in the mirror? How many of y'all looked in the mirror this morning? Some of y'all probably stand a while in the mirror to make sure things are right? I did. I looked in the mirror. I ain't got a whole lot to check, but when I check, I have to make sure I check it right, you know? Everybody looks in the mirror at times and see us. And sometimes we've gone and like coal out our eyes, and all kinds of stuff because of what we saw in the mirror, right? Because it wasn't right. I remember one day I got up and said I wasn't going to shave. I looked in the mirror, I know I'm going to shave. Why? I care about how I look, right? Come on, that's what the mirror is for, right? We care about how we look. Spiritually, the mirror, so we can see. Because if you care about how you look, you might need to do some things. The spiritual mirror is there. We just hadn't noticed it. The life journey has been definitive, and in the defining moments of life, it showed us just how much Jesus we really got. And while we're singing, I need a little more Jesus, you're looking in the mirror saying, no, I need a lot more. Come now, Jesus, help me. Get a hold on me. I don't need a little bit of Jesus. I need Jesus. I need more Jesus. A lot of Jesus. The language here is not for them to prove anything to God, because God knew they were going to get to the bitter waters of Orion. They were going to act up. God knew that they were going to get hungry and start acting a fool. God knew that they were going to complain and say, we going back to Egypt. But God had to show them that they wanted to go back. God had to show them that they were not fully ready to trust him, even though he had never gave them a reason not to trust him. He had never not made a way out of no way. He had never not caused them to see that the Lord is good and is worthy to be praised. He had never stopped doing anything for them that would cause them not to trust him. But they needed to see that a little bit of water would cause them to want to go back. A little bit of great design was given us in the ability to see what we really are. Not on the external, but on the internal side. And nothing draws the Christ out in you like somebody stepping on your toe, or shortchanging you, or doing you wrong. And you used to retaliate. Nothing draws that out, doesn't it, y'all? And life will draw it out of you, won't it? It'll pull you to a defining moment where you got to show either Jesus or a lot of flesh. And you better be committed and sold out, or you'll show the wrong thing if you're not careful. And what's true of me is true of all of us in here. That's why in these definitive moments, you don't need to get a prayer through there. You need to pray, and then when you get in that defining moment, stand therefore having your loins girded about with truth. Life's journey will show you. Listen to this. I wrote this. I like this. At least I do. Life's journey will show you in a way you could never have saw you without being exposed to what draw you out of you. Wow. One more time. Life's journey will show you in a way you could never have saw you without being exposed to what drew you out of you. And a lot of times what's drawing you out of you should show, ought to show, but don't always show that you're a child of God. I see people how you love Jesus. I see people with the big shirt on, the big cross. Externally, they got all of the features. Big old Bible, big cover, big old nice stuff. Churchy all over. And yet, when life draws out of them what's in them, we're shocked because we don't see the spiritual maturity we thought would go alongside with that. And it'll draw you out. Childishness will come out. It'll come out. It's amazing what's drawn out when you put people in certain positions, conditions. It'll draw what's in you out. You start singing a song, it'll draw out my ability to play. I got to find your key and start following you though. It's going to draw it out. It's going to draw it out if I can do it correctly. All of that. Don't it, Mike? Am I right? What's drawn out of us is what's in us. And you cannot make something come out that ain't there. They couldn't pull out trust when it wasn't there, y'all. They were used to having water. So when there wasn't no water, they couldn't just go, God, give me some water. They could not just think, God, you changed water to blood in Egypt. You brought frogs. You plagued these people. You didn't bring water in there. They didn't think that way, though. You would think they would reflect and draw that out, wouldn't you? Isn't it wonderful when we have a testimony, and based on the testimony, we can come to the conclusion that God can, whether you do or not, is totally up to Him? At least meet me halfway there, y'all. They didn't even pull that out. What they pulled out was, man, we shouldn't be dead. We need to go back to Egypt. We need to kill Moses and Aaron. We need to go back. Poor man didn't know whether he had a people on his side or ready to kill him. Defining moments. And some of us, you let our comfort zone get interrupted enough, and it can be a very defining moment for us. You stop getting all those good paychecks in and being able to pay your bills like you pay them now, and now you got to reduce your life to something you're not used to. That can be very defining. And yet I meet people coming to these defining moments every day. Men losing their leg. Used to walking and talking and working and doing all they want. Now can't do. Losing their eyesight. Now they got to ride on a COA bus and somebody got to direct them around. Kidneys fail. Now they got to go through dialysis. And if you don't know what that's like, that's a whole other ball game. Sure is. They got to go through that 3 times a week if they want to live. And sometimes that treatment alone puts them in a daze. Defining moment. And in that moment of definitive nature, you can curse God and die, or you can bless God. Which one you want to do? Bless God. Very defining moment to lose all of your cattle, all of your wealth. Then have all your family that you have taught to get along. How do you know he taught them to get along? Because they were all partying together in one house. Sound like Job was a good father.
Yes, he was.
Taught his children how to love each other. They all celebrating in one house. He was the one praying for them. They were having such a good time. And all of them died. And all he got is his wife, who looks him in the eye and says, why don't you just curse God? Very defining moment, y'all. And yet he chose to bless the Lord. Life journey will show you in a way you could never have saw you without being exposed to what draw you out of you. What's drawing you out of you? Is it drawing the Christ in you? Or is it drawing you? We don't need you on the surface. You too wretched. You too messed up. You too dangerous. You too violent. You'll retort back to snatching somebody by the throat. Come on, you know you. You know you and the old you get even. You go no way, Jose. You don't want the old you to come up. Don't draw that out. Leave it there. Is there a mirror for the soul? Is there a mirror where we can actually see what is there? And what it look like when we look in the mirror and see it for what it is? Because the external means nothing if the inside is not together. We can hide things behind all kinds of things. But what makes a healthy soul? What makes it look like one? The Lord said, I want you to prosper and be in health, even as your soul prosper and be in health. So the soul, what's a healthy soul? What's a healthy spirit, a soul? Because you are a soul encased in a body. It's going to live forever. This body is going to go away. You're made of three parts, body, soul, and spirit. But you don't have a soul, you are a soul, a living soul that lives in a body. Andre Thomas was a Hungarian prisoner. I got his picture, I want you to see this man. He was a Hungarian prisoner. He was in World War II, which today I think is the 100-year anniversary of World War II. I didn't know that when I was putting this together. But Andre Thomas was a prisoner of war. The Hungarian soldiers had joined in with the British to go and fight, and a small regiment of them was taken captive. And he ended up, at the age of 20, in a Russian prison for 55 years. He spoke no other language but the Hungarian language. So he had not a conversation with any person for 55 years. He ended up in a psychiatric hospital in Russia. In the year 2000, when the walls come down, and a doctor from Hungary was invited to come to Russia, he found this man by accident, speaking a very ancient dialect of the Hungarian language. They thought this man was crazy and was going to kill him. This man, when they, through DNA testing, they found out who he was. He was released, and the psychiatrist brought him to Hungary. And the first thing he wanted when they finally got the language situation straight, the first thing he asked for was a mirror. Because this man hadn't seen what he looked like in 55 years. The last time he saw his face, it was when he was 20 years old. This is in his book. When he got the mirror in front of him, and he saw what life had did to him, and what his situation had brought him in, they said immediately the tears burst. And this mountain of a man screamed in such anger and anguish because he didn't recognize what he saw in the mirror. Look at him, true story. He lost his leg, not in war. He lost it while in prison. before. He ended up in a Russian prison. Now he's an amputee. They got him back to Hungary. He had to go through so much evaluation and psychiatric treatment to try to restore this man back to some kind of normality. Because they said what he saw frightened him. He saw himself. He looked in the mirror and saw himself. And as this story unfolded, I thought, what if we looked in the mirror and was frightened by what we saw to the point we wanted to change who we are? What if we looked in the mirror and we saw us for who we really are as a child that need to get closer to God? This man looked in the mirror, and the mirror image, it haunted him. It's a humbling experience that God allowed this man to reach this fate in his life, only to end up looking in a mirror, and the devastation of that look had caused him to miss out. What a sad ordeal. What a tragic ordeal. And yet our life, many a times when God gets our attention and show us and show us the nastiness of us, it's just like him. In many ways, we look and see how nasty we were with our attitude and how snappy we were in the way we respond to our husbands and our wives, and how disrespectful we are as little children with a smart mouth to our parents. When we see the image of that for what it really is, it should make you broken and cry and say, God, I don't like a person. This is a defining moment for me. A moment of change. Humbling experience God has allowed. It is there in such humbling experience that God has allowed that He promotes you to a place you would have never gotten. He promotes you to a place in you never got to unless He had humbled you. The Bible says in verse 3 of Deuteronomy 8, He humbled you. Thank God He did. Some of you have been humbled. You have a simple beginning, and you know because of God you're where you are. He humbled them. He suffered them to go hungry, fed them with manna. They knew not. Neither did their fathers know. They didn't have a clue how it was going to come, but God provided. It is very humbling to have someone do for you what you would want to do for yourself. God provided for them in ways they could have provided for themselves if it was within their reach, but it wasn't. They were so far in the wilderness, too far to go back, too far away to do anything about it. They had to trust God. And God loved to get you in those kind of places. Now watch this as I get done here. He had them to go through this so that they might know that man don't live by bread alone. He brings you to these defining moments so that you can know it's not in your 401k, not in your insurance, not in your money you get every month. If that stuff stopped, God is still able to keep you fed, keep you bathed, hungry, all of that good stuff. I know what I'm talking about here. Defining moment. You ain't got no paycheck. I'm there. I've been there. Defining moment. God paid bills better than I could. And I was making good money back then. Very defining moment. God humbled us, and we had to live a certain kind of way. And thank God for craftiness and the ability to be able to budget and do things. And boy, I'm telling you, it was such a blessing.
Yes, sir.
Remember, they were going somewhere. You need to be humble if you're going somewhere. Oh, I need to say that again. So you're going somewhere. That's why you need to be humble. That's why you need to know what it's like to struggle a little bit. You're going somewhere. And when you're going, you don't need a big head when you get there. Help me out here now. I'm the one with the cold now. Y'all help me out here. You're going somewhere. You don't need the wrong kind of head when you get where you're going. You need to know that the reason why I'm here is because God has brought me here. They remember they were going somewhere. And in order to truly enjoy where you're going, you got to remember where you come from. You got to remember that God made a way where there was no way. You got to remember that the Lord is good all the time, even in the bad times. You got to get somewhere, but in order to get somewhere, you got to know where you come from.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So who it is that brought you, and unless you know in the wilderness, unless you know in the hard times, you won't know in the promise. Yeah. See, in the hard times in the wilderness, you need to learn some things about God. You wouldn't learn them on a 40-year journey, just going shortcut on in. No, God need to bring you through the school of hard knocks so that you can know to trust Him and not be relying on nobody else.
Yes,
There's
sir.
certain things you have to know that way. You don't need to know them no other kind of way. Trust me. So unless you know in the wilderness, you won't appreciate in the promise. So you get that big old house and you'll be like Nebuchadnezzar, look at what I did. Somebody else will be in there saying, look what God did. Oh, Lord. They'll be getting in that car saying, oh, God, I don't deserve this. Let's crank it up the drive anyway. They'll be like, God, I shouldn't be in this place, but I thank you brought me here. They don't get the big head. You know, some people feel like they deserve something, they earn something, and they work hard. You always hear them, look what I did. Great Babylon, I did, They forget to give God the praise and say, God, if you'd have never blessed me, I'd have never been able to get that job. I'd have never been able to get that house. I'd have never been able to have that kind of car. God knows how to humble you.
Yeah.
Now watch this. God knows how to humble you without humiliating you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He'll humble you without humiliating you.
Yeah.
And He will exalt you without flattering you. Yeah. See, it's the people who are humble, who go through life, and some of life is humiliating. They're not humiliated by the humiliation because they're trusting in God. And while everybody else is looking at you with pity and humility, you're humbly thanking God, trusting God, believing God, and yet they're looking at you in their humility saying, oh, that's so sad. We need to start a GoFundMe. No, keep your GoFundMe. I got a better fund going on. Keep the GoFundMe fund. Everybody doing it now. You ain't got to be dead now. They want to start a GoFundMe. No, keep your GoFundMe. I know who it is and whom I believe, you know. God is able. And then second, I want you to know God is able to exalt you without flattering you. Everybody else will be flattered, but you won't. Everybody else will be like, oh, you're such a good preacher. You be thinking, God, oh, Lord, help me. Let me say, oh, you can play and sing so good. You be thinking, God, if you had not touched my voice and touched my gift, I wouldn't be able to do here and do what I'm doing. While everybody else is praising you, you're looking up to God with such humility and fear because you know gifts come from the Lord. And God can take one up and take one down. It is in that humility you're just glad to be in the number, just glad to be used, just glad that God can take you and help you and mold you and shape you so that you can do and be what you need to be and do what you need to do in order for Him. And here they are now. They're going through and God is exalting them. And they realize when they get to the promise, I have nothing to do but give God praise because I did not deserve to be here. But to God be the glory for the things He has done. So while God knows how to humble you without humiliating you, He'll take you through some things in life that make it look humiliating to people. But because they don't know that God has a plan for you, they'll never be able to move for you. But it's God that'll move for you. And then God will exalt you at His due time without flattering you. You'll get elevated to a place of trust with more of Him and more of His power. And you'll know I don't deserve anything. You can say good preacher all you want, but I know who preaching in it through me. You can say good pastor all you want. You can say good daddy all you want. You can say good husband all you want. But I know it's God. I'm a wretched, filthy, no good for nothing man. And if it had not been the Lord, man, I feel good. That was on my side. I wouldn't be here today. We are humiliated by things we really should thank God for. Some of y'all done went bankrupt and you were humiliated, but it's all right. Look at you now. Some of y'all lost everything and had to start all over again. But look at you now. You would never know that God can solve your problem if you never had none. But because I had a few headaches and I had a few backaches and a few letdowns, I know that God can do anything. I know the Lord can. Oh, let me go here.
Yes.
We're humiliated by things we really should thank God for. It's difficult to see it the way. It's difficult to see it why it's going on.
Yeah.
It is so hard to see what's going on, why it's going on. And it's so hard to figure out what in the world is going on. You ever been there? God, what is going on here? What in the world are we doing? Nobody knows but God.
Yes.
It's through it all we learn to trust in Jesus. David was a humble servant leader, while Saul, in his arrogance, was more worried about how people see him than how God viewed him. Jesus was a humble example, wasn't he? He encountered countless defining moments, very defining moments, and he chose, as his highest concern, I want to please the Father. Paul said, this is the mind you need. Let this mind be in you, which was in Christ Jesus. Who being in the form of God, couldn't get a better expression of God than God himself. So God became man. That's the form. God himself became man. He was in that form. That's why he told them, when you see me, you see the Father. He wasn't exaggerating. It was true. You see me, you see him. We are one. He humbled himself and made no reputation. You can't tell me he didn't have defining moments one after the other. If you be the Son of Man, command these stones to be turned to bread. Bow down and worship me. Jump off this cliff. Come on, these are defining moments. Moments while he is in his flesh, subjected to such weakness as what would come on a body after 40 days. Some of you have been put in testing times, at times when you are at your weakest point. But because that defining moment, you chose to follow God, it made you better. And that's why the Revelation says, I never would have made it without you. I'm stronger, I'm wiser. He was in the fashion of a man, yet he humbled himself. He became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. Theologians argue this verse because they said the becoming obedient factor was that he was not willing to go to the cross. That's why he said he became obedient. I take him to task because Scripture validates Scripture. And in the archaic Greek language, to become obedient as a fleshly man at the time the manifestation for that divine moment to show up caused him to look up to the Father and say, is there any other way? But he had said, I come in the volume of the book to do your will. He came in for that cause. He told them 3 days this tabernacle will be destroyed and they'll come back up. So as he become obedient in his flesh, because the spirit man was willing, his flesh talked. Don't our flesh talk at times? Sometimes during very defining moments. We get irritated with our spouse, and just not we don't love you, I just don't want to bother right. The very defining moment. And sometimes because we know and understand each other, we back up, don't we? Give them this space, their room, they'll be all right. They're going through. And sometimes when I'm going through, I just got to get away. I got to be with God. I got to get the mind of God. I love being with you, but it's in these defining moments, I cannot take my focus off him. The ministry will bring you to death on the cross. Jesus was at one defining moment after another. They wanted to take it, make him a king. Remember that? They wanted to make him a king, and he withdrew himself. He chose to obediently stay on course, not give in to the passion, nor abuse of power, or the temperament that demonstrated true submission to the plan of God. This is someone that can be exalted without flattery. I cannot believe the arrogance we find among pulpiteers. The pride. You must don't know Jesus, so that's not that close to him. I don't care how good you think you are. On your best day, we don't measure up. When you and I let these defining moments move us in the same pattern, and I mean the pattern of Christ, it's then God can trust us. It's after you get to the defining moments in your life, God decides that you're ready for elevation. Promotion don't come from the east or the west, it comes from God. Our ministry, we've been at very defining moments that define us as a church and as a leader and as a praise team and as a church and who we are. While everybody wants to praise you for who you are and what you're doing, you just want to do His will. That's all I want to do is His will. The Bible said God highly exalted Him. Wow. Gave Him a name which is above every name. The Jehovah's Witnesses don't like that. They don't like that. The Bible said He exalted Him. Gave Him a name. I just want to ask, who can God exalt today? We are so caught up praising men, and I mean, it's great. People got accomplishments. But man, where's the humility? One thing I love about Pastor, I sat in front of money to no end, accomplishments, preach all over the world, all kind of accolades. It's just an everyday brother when you get around. We're so caught up in praising men. We buried ministers who did the work of the Lord. But the work goes on. We bury workers. Oh yeah, we don't bury the heap of workers. But the work goes on. While we're so busy caught up praising men, God is looking to get the glory. Balak and Balaam, I want to end with this story. He wanted him to curse these people. Curse them. I want you to curse them. He said, I can't do what God said do. You know the story. He blessed these people. He spoke a blessing over them. That's all he could do. That's what God told him to do. Balak was so mad at him, he told him, you better run. He said in verse 11 of Numbers 24, he said, therefore now you need to flee. Flee thou to thy place. I thought to promote thee unto great honor. I was going to give you great honor. And lo, the Lord hath kept thee back. He kept you back from doing what I wanted you to do. And Balaam said unto Balak, speak I not also to thy messengers which thou sendest unto me, saying, if Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the commandment of the Lord, to do either good or bad of my own mind. But what the Lord said, that will I speak. He had an opportunity. Very defining moment, y'all. A man, as best we know, is not wealthy. And yet he's given an opportunity to be promoted to great wealth and honor. But yet his willingness to serve and trust God kept him on the side of the Lord. Somebody sold out for money, fortune, and power. Those three I showed you would have turned on the people. But Balak said, look, man, if you give me a house full of silver and gold, I'm limited. I can't go beyond. Why? I'm a blessed man. I'm a commanded man. I'm a redeemed man. What about you? Here's a man who in the eyes of the world had an opportunity of a lifetime. They're going to make you rich, man. They're going to make you wealthy. You can choose God instead in the midst of this defining moment in his life. He could have went any direction he wanted. It was a very defining moment for him. He could have chosen to do something that God said or just do what he wanted to do. And in that defining moment, he decided to follow Jesus. He was God's command. So we see the story unfold. Balak says, you run, get away from me. I was going to bless you. I was going to promote you. Now you can get nothing. What do you see in the mirror? If I can read close. It's a very defining moment when you do look in the spiritual mirror. See what's there. You're being defined for who you are every day of your life. And in these very definitive moments that you will come across in life, life will bring you to defining moments that will definitely define who you are and whose you are. It is all of that work and input you put into being who you are that will prove truly who you are. I I've seen people when life done, and life can dump hard on them. And yet they don't want to hear nothing about God, don't want to pray. You can tell that that's somebody who was a Christian on the surface, but wasn't on the deep. And there's some people like that. When life dumped down on them, the last thing they want to do is resort to the word. They don't want to hear you say, trust God. I don't want to hear that right now. I got a problem. What happened to all that trust God stuff? You bring that up to some people and they look at you like you're a fool. That was just church stuff. Whoa. Very definitive, very defining moment. You all want to act up. You don't want nobody to give you an excuse not to act up. You don't want nobody to remind you why you shouldn't act up. And that's the very time somebody needs to be in your ear and say, hey, oh, all that high jumping you were doing, I expect you to do something when you come back down. Come on, you were jumping high. Come on, I saw you. You're supposed to walk the walk. That's why jumping don't impress me. Very defining moment. Do I trust God or do I not? Got no water. Do I trust God or do I not? You think about it though. He gave them water. He gave them food. He opened the sea. Very defining moments for them. How do you get to this place of untrust after you have a history that you can trust in? Now, before we go beating up on them, let's look at us. How do you get to this place where you're trying to figure it out and work it out? Well, God hasn't given you a reason not to trust Him. Well, this ain't a word, but I put it in here. While you're displaying that eunice in you, God is looking for Him in you. That eunice in you wants to show up, but God wants to show His Son in you. Very definitive. Luke 9:25 says, what is a man advantage if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? You can go in the book as a man defined as being wealthy and rich, and we buried him, haven't we? So I'm trying to take their wealth with him. I read a report of a man who made them bury him in his Cadillac. I told you the story. The lady told the man told the lady, bury me with all my money. And she wrote him a check, put it in the casket. People wanted to take their wealth with them. They can't take it with them, but they want to. He said, what is a man advantage if he gains the whole world and lose himself or be a castaway? Another reference verse there said, what would a man give in exchange for his soul? Gain the whole world and lose his soul. Jesus looked at the man who had defined himself as being very rich and popular and said, you're a fool. That's just what he said to him. You define yourself this way, but having all these goods, this night, your soul going to be required. Now what you going to do? Now that you sold the most valuable part of you, not your money, not that big house and all the wealth, your soul. Now that that's going to be required of thee, who things are they going to be, which you got to work so hard to have and fight for? Very defining moment. You're at a defining moment now. If you're not saved and truly giving your heart over to the Lord, this is a defining moment for you where you're going to make a choice. You're going to choose, like you've been choosing every day of your life so far up to now, to follow Jesus or to continue to resist and rebel. There's a consequence. This is a defining moment. You can rewrite the history book from this moment on. Choose to go on down the same beaten path. This is a defining moment for you. Are you going to give over to the will of the Lord in your life and not just be surface Christian? Come on and stand with me. This is a defining moment of trust. Am I really going to trust God? And if I'm truly going to trust God, am I going to stop my human effort? That human effort runs out, folks. Human effort ain't going to get nothing done. Defining moments for Israel over and over again showed them just how much of them needed to be out of the picture. Let's pray about it. Father, This message is probing for the fact that we all face these moments in life that defines us, where we get to show and display our willingness or our lack of in the area of trust. Father, I just pray for everyone here, including me as I pray. And Father, as we face these trying moments, these moments of testing, these moments of pure need to display the life, the surrender, the obedience to your word and your will and way. I pray for everyone here. I pray that there would be such a willingness, even our young people, a willingness to obey you and walk upright before you. And we not let any ill conversation proceed out of our mouth, because that's the command of redeemed people, not to partake in filthy conversation. We not allow ourselves to display this mean, fleshly attitude when things don't go our way. And when life dumped down hard on us and maybe we're having to lose a loved one or face a financial devastation or experience something we didn't expect to experience. Father, I do pray that you would allow us to be reminded of your word. Allow us to be reminded of whose we are and what we must do in life. Bless your people everywhere. Bless this congregation, those that are part of this congregation. Father, I pray for maturity in your people. Start with me. Do a fresh work in us. Let there be such a reminded commitment in this room. And we will just do our diligence to walk upright.